segment with the Honorable Low and with Mr. Bisu. Now, the Economist Intelligence Unit report has been received with mixed reactions or mixed reviews from both the governing NPP and the opposition NDC. Now, there are just two main things within the context of the report. It talks about the economy, yes, but it also gives an election analysis and projection. Now, it says the NDC stands a reasonable chance of winning the 2024 election, but with a different candidate. So much as it gives the NDC one tick, it gives them a cross on the other side. For the NPP, it says the party has not delivered effectively on the expectations of Ghanaians. And so the public dissatisfaction with the slow pace of improvements in governance, such as infrastructure, development, job creation, and easing corruption, will trigger anti-incumbency factors and push the electorate to seek a change. So let me start off first again with Honorable Lu. Do you think the Economist Intelligence Unit made this projection because it's a comfortable one? Ghana, if you look at the historical, in the Fourth Republic, the historical electoral process, it's been 8 years for each, political party, NDC, NPP. But I think overall, the NDC has had longer time in governance for the Fourth Republic. So the question is it a comfortable projection?
Well, I would say it is, because if you have followed the political history of the Fourth Republic particularly, if I sat in my room and I decided to have do some analysis of our political trajectory, I may come to the same conclusions.
So is it a credible conclusion?
Well, like I said, I may come to the same conclusion. But let me start more importantly by saying that if I wonder why people are saying that the EIU indicated that the NDC will win with a different candidate. My reading of the report didn't give me that inclination.
Oh, it said that
you see,
if the revitalize.
He said they are just having a speculative expectation. You understand? They said that, NDC has a reasonable chance of winning.
They said
They said that. But they also said that they expect the NDC to revitalize. It doesn't mean that...
With a new candidate.
But it doesn't mean that... The only thing that maybe the NDC may want to experiment with a new candidate. But it has not said that we necessarily need a new candidate to be able to win 2024. No.
Isn't that, just a quick one,
yes.
Isn't that projection also because they can see that with the current, if the NDC were to go with its 2020 presidential candidate, he has only one term.
Well,
it means you will still have to go fighting into another election then.
Well,
so maybe the view is they may want to consider a new candidate so that if they get in 2024, you get your full 8 years.
You see, this country's laws allow every party or every candidate a 4-year term, renewable depending on the people or whatever trajectory you want to take it. So I believe that their major focus, if you read the report, was the fact that they raised the issues of the economy being bad and that people are not happy, and therefore looking at the whole political spectrum, the NDC has a reasonable chance of winning, even before they talked about revitalization and things like that. So for me, the bottom line is that they have sat back, and if you read the report fully, you see that they go to deal with the economy and jobs, people's expectations and all that. So clearly, I am of the view that because of the current situation in which we find ourselves, where things are difficult, where government is not doing well, where the economy has become hard, and inflation has gone up, and all this, that's what I believe they sat down to look at and projected that if we continue on that trajectory, the NDC has stand a better chance of winning. If I want to even use a better chance. Now let's come back. I cannot see them thinking the way we are interpreting that as in a new candidate, because if there is anything, the records speak differently. In the year 2020, when we're going to election, you know, this same EIU projected that if NDC did certain things, they also stood a good chance of giving MPP. At the time, they said giving MPP a run for the money, and we indeed gave them a run for their money. You know, we even believe that we won that election. But suffice it to say that, I mean, even per the Electoral Commission's declared results, we did fantastic. And I think that Charles sitting here, if he had been told a month before that we were going to do this well, he would have doubted it. But we did well. We increased our votes up. Our flag bearer increased over 2 million votes, you know, and things like that. So clearly, yeah, you knew we were going to do well, but you didn't know that we were going to do this well.
Oh, you knew the NDC was going to.
Very well. Thank you. Okay. So now it tells me that even when I sit at home, that's what I'm coming back to, whether it was a comfortable thing to do. I think that at this stage, you don't need a soothsayer to tell you that all things being equal, the NDC stands a better chance of winning the next election.
Let me take a pause on you there. I'll allow Charles. So the projection, and to be clear, this is not an opinion poll. This is a political risk analysis report. It's different from an opinion poll, which will then speak directly to people. You have a sample size, they'll tell you the methodology and all that. It doesn't give the governing NPP a good chance. And this is in light of the NPP's breaking the A.
I like the way you said it.
It's Johnny taught us that. It's breaking the A. You don't say the T.
Okay.
So what's your view about this?
Okay, yeah, to touch on it, yes. I mean, for me, I had an inkling that the NDC were going to do well. Because,
why?
Yes, because we are political parties. We do our internal things before we go out there and then market to the Ghanaian to vote for us. So following the way we run our internal elections and all that, it affected us. Where there was a mouthful report, the party sat there, came up with a committee. These things have been delved into, so it is good. We have a history of that. We're going to actually go forward in 2024. Unlike 2000 and under President Kufuor's regime, we had it easy about 2004, and then 2008 were more or less complacent. And also, this would actually urge us to get on our loins that 2024 is not going to be easy. So I like what happened. The only thing is that we have a hung parliament, and it makes it easier to govern, and this affects the for example, the e-levy, where you are in government and you think that this is good for the country, and then the other party wants to come to power by hook or crook, and so anything that the government brings in will scatter it.
But that's not fair.
I'll buttress it with a point.
No, but that's not.
You know, I'm a researcher too. So
the government is bringing something, and someone wants to come to power. So by hook or crook.
Okay, Jifa, you see, I'm a researcher, so you know when I'm communicating, everything I buttress it with examples. 2008, when we found oil in commercial quantity, they said it was cooking oil. Free SHS, yes. The oil has inured to the benefit of the Ghanaian economy. Free SHS, they said, no, it's not going to work. Now we're in the 5th year of it. We need to sustain it. It has to be reviewed and then move forward. And then NHIS, they came out, they said, no, it's not going to work with 110 premium, which wasn't realistic. So if any policy that is actually coming into this country that is going to inure to the benefit of the New Patriotic Party or the Ghanaians, the NDC poo-poos it because they know that the only way that they can actually come to power is that when the NPP fails. And I don't actually subscribe to that. I think the competition brings the best out of all of us. When NPP were in opposition and Dr. Konedo Aproko was the finance committee chairman, each time they come out with a budget, we come out with an alternative one so Ghanaians can actually see the difference. I think that's how we should rule a country.
Okay, what you're saying, it doesn't take away from statements of, facts that the EIU refers to, and it's just the bit that was in.
I was digressing, but I'm coming to that.
Okay, you are coming. To
so
that.
I'm just giving you a preamble of the political party that we're dealing with. You see, when EIU, this report has come out now, it's still an opinion from them.
Really?
No, it's not an opinion poll. as
it's not an
a
opinion
traditional
poll,
research.
But are you dismissing the fact that there's a certain public disaffection? There's a certain view that infrastructure...
you've misunderstood me. I'm saying that the EIU report is an opinion. Okay, it's not a traditional research where you have methodology, but it's still an opinion. And they have been consistent previously. So we as a party, it's a guide for us. We accept it, wherever it's coming from. We accept it, and it tells us to what? Actually work harder. Now, you see, I think they even came out too early, because the NDC now know that ex-President Mahama is not a candidate, so they might ask him to actually double up. But then it's good for the Ghanaian, because once they do that, like I said, the competition will be more tense, and then Ghanaian voter will benefit.
Let me get clarity. Charles, let me get clarity. So you think that this report has come out too early?
Yes.
Why?
Because, the NDC, they're going to start working harder and harder, which is going to make us work harder too.
Maybe I think the timing might be just right, because your party is engaged in internal contests, and all the brouhaha that has surrounded aspects of the contest means that for what do you call it? There could be issues going forward into the flag bearer contest. Yes.
Yeah, if you allow me to finish, he knows what I'm talking about.
No,
because you're not a member of any of the political parties. They have the internal strategy, and we have ours.
So it's too
this EIU report, our party is aware of this. If our research department doesn't know about this, then we don't have a case being a political party. We have the communication, we have structures within our party. So this, we know that. It affirms what we know. It is a guide for us that whatever the New Patriotic Party knows, the AIU is talking about it. So we are going to go by it. But I'm just saying that sometimes the NDC, they do not learn. So certain things, when you say it, then they go on and say, okay, they've mentioned it, so let's toe that line. Because their elections, the internal election, they were going to go with only John Mahama, ex-President Mahama, as against the others, because the way they're going is John Mahama. Now, this EIU report prick their conscience to say that, no, at least let's give him some competition. That's what I'm saying. But I'm not going to actually manage their party for them or give them that strategy. But we, as the New Patriotic Party, has actually grasped it with the speed of light. We're going to work with it. It's 2.5 years to an election, and I always take consolation from the statement of the president when COVID broke, and then he said he can always bring the economy back, but cannot bring lives back. We managed to save a lot of lives. Together we did that, and now it's a thing of actually the economy bouncing back. So per this report, if the economy bounces back and everything is fine, and then when NDC was actually handing over power to us, and we only had one factory, Commander Sugar Factory, which wasn't actually even defunct, which is coming back now, and now we have over 100, and we're able to show Ghanaians what we've done, and the economy is right, and the milk that he's saying is 6 cedis now has actually dropped, then we're actually going somewhere. So this report is a guide for the New Patriotic Party.
All right, I'm actually surprised, but let's take a quick break, and then we'll get a view from the Honorable Low, and then we'll take your messages as well. So feel free to send them to our WhatsApp line, the number on the screen, as well as you can send them on Facebook and Twitter. I've seen some of your messages. When we come back, I'll read them. Thank you very much for staying with us here on The Key Points. It's on TV3, it's on 3FM 92.7. Let me just read some of your messages which have come through. This one from Aziz Nwa. He says, even if John Mahama is not on his 2 feet, we shall present him for the 2024 elections regardless, and he will win. This one has no name. It says, EIU and NPP should get this right, because the suffering across the country is unbearable and it's also unbelievable. This one from Nana K in Teshi says, as for me, I don't agree with this analysis. Now, many Ghanaians Nigerians have become vigilant and are clever and are aware of what the politicians are doing. In terms of who has done more, the NPP stands the chance of winning. We Ghanaians have seen the jobs and massive works of the president, and we hope to see more in the Bawumia government in 2024. Interesting, you're already predicting who is going to be the flag bearer. Joseph writes, when I think of NPP breaking the 8, I see them using foul means and not securing the people's mandate. Fidelis Abilba writes, JM is the nightmare of the NPP. So the NPP better wake up to reality. You can go up and come down. JM will be the last man standing. So let me turn to Honorable Low on that point. So Charles says the report has come too early. John Mahama needs to be given competition. He will double up. I mean, your thoughts on
Not too early for them.
It's too early for them
to learn.
Is it too early?
Well, we first of all do not determine when reports come out. But the EIU does, I think, more than one report in an election cycle. They always normally do one around this time. And then also possibly
in 2024.
They will do another one. So as to whether it has come too early or not, it's neither here nor there. But suffice it to say that, you see, some of the issues that Charles raised, it's that may cause us to do things differently. Not at all. In 2020, in the run-up to 2020 election, our candidate John Dramani Mahama was contested by other members of the party. So I don't think that he is even afraid of contest.
But did they contest him? What I recall was, yes, they took nomination for him, but they came and it was an acclamation, wasn't it?
No.
They voted?
We voted. We voted. And he had an overwhelming support base, and which hasn't changed. So chances, I mean, it's clear for every political watcher that unless he decides that, look, I'm tired.
Because it's a one-man party.
If he decides that he wants to go, I don't see anybody stopping him. So clearly, and I mean, when it's coming from Charles, I smile, and because clearly he's just been playing mischief. Candidate Nana Akufo-Addo faced the same challenge. When he was coming for the third time, everybody was like, "Why you are wasting your time?" But with Alan Chamanti at the time, he had an overwhelming endorsement. And he went ahead to win the 2020 elections against the possible prediction of some people. So clearly, I mean, these are not issues that we should be bothered about at this stage of our political life. NDC is focused. We are yet to have our internal elections. So I would have preferred that Charles stayed focused on their internal elections, because what we've seen in the branch or the polling station elections, we pray that that doesn't magnify in the constituency elections. And they have a long way to go. He himself has some national positions to battle with.
He says he wants to be general secretary.
Yes, so he should focus
on that
and allow us to also DFE ourselves. But suffice it to say that, see, like I keep saying, it's not rocket science, and you can feel it from the messages that you get, that people clearly do not see the way forward as he thinks it's easy. Look, where we are with this economy, in the next 3 years, milk will not come back to even 4 cedis or 5 cedis. So he should not tickle himself and laugh. The reality on the ground is that we are on a downward strategy. And that is what is worrying for everybody, locally and internationally. And it is not simply a matter, you see, Charles should accept that it's not simply a matter of global influences and things like that. The evidence out there is that we started going downhill even before COVID. We started going downhill. As for when I hear the Russia-Ukraine one, I want to cringe. Because indeed, how many months have that war raged? But before then, you were buying fuel at almost 10 cedis from like 6 cedis or so. So clearly, that has no influence at all on where we are today. I would have preferred, and I like the fact that he says the EIU report will guide them. So be it. We pray that it does guide them, so that at least they work harder and up things a bit. But as for getting out of the woods, it's clear that they don't have what it takes to do so.
Let me ask, though, the EIU report did not take into consideration that candidate Mahama had improved on his performance in the 2020 elections. But the conditions then were different as well. The economy was not as dire as it is now. In fact, there's actually a notification from the World Bank, I think, warning us about the high risk of our debt levels and how we sustain meeting those financial obligations. So it also begs the question about, even if candidate Mahama were to come into office in 2024, we're in an already very difficult situation. What would really be his chances? Because some may say that, well, we may not see anything better.
The great thing is that we are monitoring. There's a team within the NDC monitoring developments on a daily basis, and we are consistently finding ways of dealing with some of these problems. So we admit that when we come to power in 2050, we may have to take some real solid decisions. And the answers are there. So we are not coming to say that when we come, maybe by January 2025, we come into power and then milk and honey start flowing in the streets of Accra. No. But we are saying that having been in government before, we know what to do differently. You see, people do not... My brother, the researcher, incidentally, I'm also a researcher. So at the close of the day, when you go back, way back to 2012, you remember that 2012, when President Mahama came, how much was inflation? It was around 12-13%. Mm-hmm. But by the time we were living, a lot have improved. And he had a record to show for it. There are things that have been turned around, things that have the performance had been better. So he has a way of doing it. He knows it. He's not new. He's not coming to learn new things. The reality is that records are being compared. And consistently, the people of Ghana in 2020 showed that between the NPP, then led by President Akufo-Addo, and NDC led by John Mahama, they believed that John Mahama knew what he was about and knows what he's about. And clearly, our manifesto showed it all. So, consistently, we understand the problems of Ghana and we would deploy the necessary tools to resolve it. More importantly, Chifa, why? How much money did we have compared to what they have now? And what did we do with the little that came to us compared with what came to them or what has come to them? We left them many more oil fields. We left them many more ways of getting generating money. We even left them parastatals that were paying for themselves. We solved problems in this country by bringing the turbo gas pipe, which had gone, but for that, maybe we'll be buying fuel at 40 cedis. So clearly, we know the ways in. We take the hard decisions, but we make sure that we mitigate it so that consistently we are able to deliver to the people of Ghana. What Charles have done this morning, incidentally, is what I would say to him that he don't learn. Half-baked programs, then propaganda driving and those things. They are talking about free SHS. If I don't know how many relatives of yours went to SS this year, I'm sure that they pestered you so much with support. Even though I'm no longer, of course, I'm a regional executive, I keep paying. In fact, there are people on the list that you would have to send Momu to be able to support their children to go to school. So how free is the free SHS? There are things that I said when free SHS was introduced in 2018 or so. Today, the NPP are coming to repeat what I said as the solution. When we said, oh, let's review that program, what did he say? They said review means cancellation. Today they've got a new dictionary. Their dictionary. That's vague, that's vague. I'm coming. Their dictionary has a different meaning for review. I mean, these kinds of propaganda and hypocrisy.
But from what I know, from what the president has said, they are not touching free SHS as of now.
No,
it's going to continue.
He even on this program says that it is going to be reviewed. So that it was from that point that I said that. Okay. And all other things that he said, I don't think that NDC has sat down and said that free SHS is a bad program. In actual fact, we started free SHS. We have never said that NHIS was a bad program. It started under our watch.
One-time premium.
So, yes, at
That's
a point,
one-time premium. That's a separate policy, but
Yes.
the pilot program
and
for
yes, and all
NHIS
those. So,
started.
The Roman Catholic.
so you see, I'm saying, listen, I am saying that
policy.
our problem with the NPP always is the operationalization of any program that they pick up. It talks about one district, one party. My district is still without a party. I am only saying that it is a different thing when we are telling you that the way you are going about it or the way you want to implement this program, it's wrong. It doesn't mean that we say the program is bad. Free SHS, like that, we started it. We thought that you should be progressive. In fact, when they even came and they claimed they were doing free SHS, they were doing progressive because they didn't start with all the 3 years. If they had followed through with our infrastructure plan, maybe we would have been speaking a different language today. Today, free SHS has come, but created more difficulties than then. I'll show you one example. I used to say. I said that look, start free SHS from government schools, so that my son who is at some private university, a private primary school where I'm paying like 10 times what it costs to. There's no need for him to be a part of the free SHS. In fact, free SHS should be a social justice policy, so that he who has not would benefit.
So maybe students who come from public
yes, should be the starting
schools,
point.
They
yes.
should be the target, not those coming from private.
Because now we have a situation.
But the flip side could be that people would then withdraw their children and move them there just to benefit from that.
Let me tell you. You know the sad thing. If we went into the numbers, you will find that 90% of our ministers and senior political figures do not have their children in free SHS.
That's true.
And so they are running down the program. They don't care the consequences. And that is the reality. But if we took certain decisions, I have said that if I become president tomorrow, first policy, every government official's children should go to public school. It is only then that they will focus on public schools and be able to deliver. What they are MPP are doing, free SHS, but clearly, quality is being sacrificed. Everything else, even food. If you go to the campus, it's sad. So clearly, I think that the people of Ghana, it's clear to everybody that the MPP has not done well, and clearly it's based on some of these things that all the research results that we are getting. There's another one. The national
tracking poll that points to
John
Mahama win. But that also does something interesting. Yes. It points to a shift between the Bawumia and Alan candidates.
So clearly, interesting times.
I understand there's another one by the IEA, but I've not cited that.
Yeah. So all of them, point to a certain trajectory. So we pray that we go on along that trajectory.
So Charles, it's okay. I'll come back to you. Just hold this question for me before I get. When I come back to you, I'll ask you. The Charles says they have 2 years almost to turn things around. So just hold that thought and then you answer that. But Charles, he raises interesting points about, aspects of government programs that are not really at their best, concerns by many Ghanaians about the state of the economy. I read some of the messages. We don't screen messages here. We just read them. And it points to difficult times. Yet the government pointing to COVID, pointing to Ukraine. Recently, the Russian embassy in Ghana issued a statement that please don't mention Russia as part of the causes of your problems.
Okay, Diva, you see, the messages that are coming out. When I started, I said that the turbulence in the economy and the economy and the external factors. We are net importers of about 90% of, what we actually intake. And if freight cost has tripled, then eventually the person who buys the finished product or the end product pays for it. So in effect, it affects the economy. So there are external factors. 2, COVID. It is a fact. We've had COVID and it is it has affected various economies. So we don't actually manage this economy in isolation. We deal with other external partners and all that. And then also, to answer this question before I move into other things, the Russian embassy thing, I disagree. You see, if
you disagree with who? Them?
The embassy. You see, the war, there's 10 million barrels of crude oil from Russia each, from Russia that they produce, okay? And they produce to the European countries and other countries who are our trading partners. And I'm talking about cost of production here, wheat and all that. So when it affects another economy, and whatever they have that in, and I'm talking about international trade as well, whatever has to come here, because there's the shortage of supply there, it would affect it some way, somehow. So there is a rippling effect to that war. It's affecting the world economy.
Maybe now, we will experience, there's a ripple effect, but maybe we will experience it more, maybe later in the year.
Yes, you can.
Because this thing has been on for a month, just a little over a month. So make that kind of reference.
Okay, let me sit here and tell you something. Okay, COVID came in. It was a fact. Then maybe like the economies are picking up, and then this war came in. Whoever is trading here would say that I'm going to conserve. You understand? Because I do not know where this is taking us. So it's an internal management thing for each country. So that is a fact. We cannot run away from that. Once you accept that fact, then it means that you have an antidote to the problem. You look away. If we sit here and say, no, it's not COVID, it's not this, then we do not know how we actually going to find out.
I think the vice president in his most recent lecture identified three things. He identified, of course, the expenditures on COVID.
Yes.
Whether it's 17 billion, 22 billion, we are still juggling the figures. Then he also mentioned the payments for excess capacity payments, which the NDC disputes. Then there is the amounts also spent on the banking sector cleanup. Essentially, we borrowed to do some of these
things. So all in totality, all talks about macroeconomics, okay, and which actually cascade down to our microeconomics. So when it starts from internationally and then it comes to our country, whatever we do, decisions are made, affects the end user. And I'm saying that accepting that these are the problems, then it means that you have to find antidotes to them.
The other antidotes the government started 5 years ago, 1D1F, PFJ, Planting for Food and Jobs. If PFJ has been so successful, we shouldn't be having challenges with food. We shouldn't have food inflation at what, 19% now, I think the most recent figures from GSS. That's, you see, that's why people keep questioning why you should even add on these these reasons as of now.
If you allow me to finish, you see, if Planting for Food and Jobs, 1D1F, and all these have been started, where would it have been during the COVID time? I think that the economy was resilient. It was put on a certain foundation. That is why we're able to actually withstand COVID. Because out of Africa, I mean, well, we have a top five, one of the top 5 countries which managed COVID well. How would you feel when there's a pandemic, okay, and there's no food in the system and all that? So I believe that the fundamentals, whatever was put in place, sustained us during that period. America and all the other countries, during this Ukraine war, they have oil in excess, right? But then because of the 10 million barrels that's coming from Russia and all that, they actually delved into their reserve. And that's what countries do. So if you put policies there for times like this and you're able to manage it, then it's fine. Following that, you have to go back and replenish what we have. And that is why we're finding ourselves in this situation now. And I'm saying that if we accept that all these are facts that actually contributed to where we are now, then you then find an antidote to it. 1D1F, I believe, yes, it was there, it did well. Now it has dipped because during the COVID time, 9 months we were not producing. We're feeding people. Salaries were being paid and all that. So there was no production, but then you delved into your reserves to do that. So once you've done that, you recalibrate your economy and move forward. And that is what I said, that the president's statement that he made, I take consolation from that we can always bring the economy back, but not lives. If about 1 million people have died in this country, or Italy, where 40,000 people died, then this will be chastising us, the things that they would have said. But now, a lot more lives were not lost. We conserve that. Now we're moving forward to actually establishing the economy. Now, Honorable Low mentioned that President Mahama now they know the things that they're going to do and all that because they've done it before, and he was trying to support it with facts. You see, but when we actually handed over to them, in 2008.
When they handed over to you?
No, we in 2008.
Okay, from 2008 to
there was
2009.
the world economic crunch, right? Then people were unfortunate, and it affected our economy. And then we handed over to them. We lost power, and then went to them. When we were handing over we handed an economy with oil. But then under President Kufuor, we didn't rule with oil. There was no oil. We bequeathed that to them. Now, and you managed for how many years? And there was doom so for 3 years and all that. You were saying you managed the economy well. But then all these problems were the people dying and all that, factories going down. And then another person comes and says that, yes, there's a long-term plan, a short-term plan, and a medium-term plan. But the long-term plan is industrialization, where Ghana is a net importer of all our commodities. So in the next 5 years, 10 years, we should have all our industries so that we are an industrialized country. So we actually move from taxation and then actually export, where our balance of payments and all that can be strengthened and all that. Our dollar and against the cedi, we are working on that. But it's a long-term thing, so we all have to come into it. He's saying that in his constituency, there's no 1D, 1F. No, the 1D, 1F, the government doesn't come out. Maybe he has a socialist kind of thinking. That's why I want the CPP to become the main opposition party, so that we have sociology. Yes, I'll buttress that.
Oh, no, but okay,
Let me
but
buttress
explain
it.
your point about explain your point about the 1D 1F is not a government.
Did I ask you to name it one district, one
It's not
battery?
a government thing. So what?
I know. Did I ask you?
I will still make
this is
my
what they are
point.
doing.
I will still make my point.
This
So
is
even if you talk,
this is
I will
where you
still
are
make my
doing.
point.
Now
So
it's
the point
neutrality.
is, so if his constituency doesn't have one, meaning what?
That's why I'm trying to buttress the point. I'm saying that he has the idea of a socialist thinking. Meanwhile, they are saying that the social. Oh, come on.
But you said one district, one battery.
No, see, I'm not in his head. But the point is, the government said one
district,
one F.
but I'm
So
not-
every district
I'm not
should have a
communicating to the
factory.
two of you. I'm
It's not-
communicating to the world out there. So let me finish.
Okay, so please explain that point.
So 1D,
again.
1F. You
Because
see-
he does need a factory or a project like that in his constituency.
So I don't want to. So when I finish, you understand where I'm coming from. You see, because he has that socialist thinking or social democratic thinking. That's why I'm saying that. I wish that CPP becomes the main opposition party, so that we have the socialist and the capitalist system, the center right. If you go to United Kingdom and America, they have the Labour Party, and so when people are voting, they vote for either the socialist idea or the capitalist idea. I'm applying it to Ghana now. You see, he's saying that they do not have a district. It is not the government that comes.
Does have a factory in his district?
Yes, one district. Yes, it's not the government that comes out there. In page 22 or 23 of our manifesto, it says the government will create an enabling environment with the financial sector. So the meaning that the private sector is the engine of growth. So what he could have done is look for businessmen with the available natural resources and all that. Do the research. There are resource centers that the Ministry of Trade has done. You go into that and then actually use the avenue that the government has created. It is not the president that comes or the government that comes in and says that we are citing one here. No, it is a private sector driven thing. That's what we need to understand. And then also, you see, President Mahama, past examination questions, they are never difficult. You know that. Pasco, they are never difficult. When you sit in the examination hall, you're tensed and you do not know what happened. So once you get out there, you say, oh, this one was easy. He was the president for 4 years. There was doomsday and other things. Now you get out, and then the constitution gives you another 4 years. So you think, I can come and correct things. So we cannot be doing this with Ghana. You had the opportunity to do it. You did not do it. So it's not like a Pasco where you go, you sit June, and then you come in for the North Deck. Ghana is not like that. We're actually moving forward. That's why there's industrialization. It's a long-term plan. So, and he mentioned the word review that I said. In everything that you bring, you channel, programs and all that, it is bad if you don't review them. Review doesn't mean you're changing them. You can review them, look at them and say, okay, we're leaving it or we're moving forward. That is in corporate strategy, we do that. You understand? So the review, the context that you're taking it shouldn't be that. If I say we review it, okay, free SHS has been there for 5 years. How many students have come out of it? What did they do and all that? Okay, it is good. Let's go forward. What about double tracking? So you look at all the things that you've come out with and actually make a decision going forward. That's what it is. So for me, the report that has come out, I'm saying that it is a guide. It doesn't mean that it directs what the NPP has to do. It's a guide, because I'm saying that we have a research unit, the DI and all that. If we are not carrying out research, then we don't have a business being in government or as a political party, because each time the NDC come to power, they actually, Ghana has to go backwards in terms of economy, and the MPP comes in and we recalibrate it and all that. And he's saying that we've borrowed so much money. When you say we've borrowed so much money, I would wish that you come out and say, okay, 40 billion was used for this, and then we itemize them. Then we'll be having a conversation and then actually compare it to other things. But if you come out and then lump it up and say, oh, they've taken too much money, when the economy is growing and all that, and if you compare it to Kwame Nkrumah's time, when we had about 7 million population and money was there, we had the luxury of even giving $10 million to the United AU. Okay, but if you look at it intangibly, that has actually yielded result. We have AFCTFA here because of that leverage we have at AU. So things that you do today, you do not expect that in our politics that you get results today. That's what I'm saying. The short term, medium term, and long term. So let's look at all the policies and actually review them and see if it is going to inure to the benefit of Ghana. All I'm saying is that, to conclude, it is not because we went to rule Ghana, so we come out to things like when 2008 they wanted to rule, so they said one-term premium, and a lot of Ghanaians voted for them, and then they came and then they actually did Jack, where are you approach.
There's nothing dishonest about a government deciding that this is a policy. We are not, so to use it as a campaign mechanism, I'm not sure.
So
you've mentioned
we've had a manifesto
so far.
Yes, we've had a manifesto in Ghana in 2008, one-term premium, and then they went to change it and then came back. And then we have been consistent in our manifesto. Free SHS was there 2008, 2012, 2006. 1D1F was there. So we're consistent. And out of the consistency, you get goodwill. The Ghanaian, because people are discerning, even our polling station elections, doctors, lawyers are actually going for polling. Hitherto, people didn't want, we had to beg people for that. So it means that the voter is discerning now. So when you're doing these things, you don't just come out and say, because I want political. Because now, if you come and say 110 people, I think the party NDC might actually go into oblivion. Because it is not going to happen. In 2008, they said it, and people believed them, and we said it wasn't realistic, because even in the United Kingdom, United States, or whatever, there's nothing like one-time premium for healthcare, because it's something that is existing.
Okay, I think we've moved on since one-time premium. That's just one thing.
No, but I need to give examples of the political party that we're dealing with. One day, so we found oil for commercial quality. They said it was cooking oil, and you're doing it to Ghana. When COVID came, Accra Girls Secondary School, when the president, after the lockdown wasn't to do anything. It was for us to actually take stock of what we have and actually come out with management tools. When we did that, contact tracing and all those things, it was for us. I remember an airline was coming, Air France. It was returned back to Europe. Who does that? In Africa, which president will actually do that? But we had the audacity, or actually that courage to do it, to save our people. Within that, we took stock of what we had. And then there were other management things. The president comes out, speak to people about what the difficulty. So there was that awareness. After we've come out of it, we actually know that, no, either we were actually importing nose masks, sterilizers and all that. Even the production of ethanol. People are actually building factories here because we have to. Ethanol, I think, is the second or third largest imported commodity into this country, where we have cassava and all these things. And all these can go under 1D1F. So within COVID, out of that necessity, we've actually introspected into ourselves and realized that we can do certain things. We were in an economy where we said we're actually importing toothpicks and all that. But now people are actually becoming what?
So for you, in 2 years, things can change?
Very possible.
Okay.
I am hopeful.
All right, thank you very much. And so I'll take a final point from you, George. So go ahead, you can address the issues.
Well, I find again, I'm very intrigued about.
So he says in 2 years things can change.
I'm very intrigued about all the effort he's trying to make to rationalize, but unfortunately, rationalization, as you knew it in mathematics, his answers are wrong.
He's delving into psychology now.
And across a day, I mean, he has arrived at a point where really gives nobody hope. Let me tell you the real issues. Yes, oil was discovered under President Kufuor, but question, was it in commercial quantities? Even when we came, we've done 3 more. We've done FPSOs. We've done all sort of investment in the oil sector. That is what we have handed over to them after 4 years in office. What have they done with it is the question we should ask ourselves. he talks about COVID and utilizes COVID as though, look, Jifa, the evidence out there is clear. The World Bank has said it, others have said it, that pre-COVID, we're already on a downward slide. Okay? Now, my worry about, and I'm really fascinated when they talk about COVID being a problem. Because under COVID, they got in excess of, they got close to $2 billion of free money. What did they use it for? We are even asking for accounts. They are not able to give accounts. So for him to say, and they had this and that, look, COVID was a blessing to the NPP. And if it were the NDC, because you see, we also had our COVID. He talking about 9 months. We had Dunso for how many? How long? We had Ebola.
Commodity price
we
crash.
had, yes, we had Ebola. We had we had so many of the challenges. The great thing. No,
COVID
please,
is
please,
force majeure.
please,
Act
please,
of God.
please, please, please.
COVID is act
please,
of God.
Please,
Dumso is
please,
an act
please,
of a human
please,
being.
Please.
Okay.
Bottom line is that when we had challenges, we lived up to the challenges. And that's what I'm saying, that John Mahama has been there before, he knows it. At the time he was leaving office, there was no Dunso in Ghana. It had been solved. It had been solved emphatically, that they came and said we had excess capacity. Is that not so? That's the kind of thing we are talking about. I'm saying that pre-COVID, we were told that this government had run down the country and we were on a downward slide. No. Now, post-COVID, when they had all the free money and things like that, we were going further down. Now they are finding excuses all over. But for us, you remember President Mahama came to the State of the Nation address and said that he's come to meet the problem and he will solve it. And he lived by his word. That is leadership. Today, I am saying that anybody who does a very impartial comparison clearly knows that no, John Mahama was a better manager of the economy. Now, he is talking about the next 2 years and that they are hopeful that they will resolve.
Oh.
How else?
He didn't say hopeful. He says things will turn around.
I am saying that how else can you convince me? How can you convince me that things will turn around? When you didn't have the...
Isn't 2 years still a long time?
No, when they did it 2 years, the last 2 years, when they took all the loans pre-COVID and they didn't have all these challenges, they ran the economy down. That is the evidence out there. So now you are telling me that now that there is a challenge, then 2 years you will turn things around. It's impossible.
If he had to stick to his notes.
No,
that's all.
there's nothing like sticking to the notes. I am saying that
you stuck to your notes.
when you had all the money, there was no challenge. Okay? And you were running the economy on a downward track. With all your planting for food and jobs that you were talking about, it means that we should have had enough buffer that shouldn't even have affected us during the COVID. No. So if we had challenges during the COVID, then it means that all the things you were telling us was propaganda.
He wasn't listening to me.
You see, what's propaganda? Clearly. You talked about America having reserves and things. Did you have any reserves with all the money that you had? So let's not go there. We are saying that you've demonstrated that you are bad managers of the economy. Okay? All the promises.
I said reserve.
Listen, all the promises that you made, you have come out to say they were ideas that you had. Now they are talking about, Dr. Bawumia is talking about one district, what's it called, $1 million per constituency was a conceptualization.
But you agree that one is private sector driven.
I am saying that
so we don't
you didn't tell us. You didn't tell us so. Listen, you didn't tell us so. Now what you are doing, you are not even setting up. You are not even setting up.
Yes, it was a manifesto, but you didn't explain further that. Because all of us assumed that when you were going to do 1D1F, it was government. So it was later that Kojo Nkrumah came and explained that it was clarity. That the reality was going to be a private sector.
The reality is that Kasapreko has been in this country 10 years before Akufo-Addo came. They say it's 1D1F. There are many companies, the one on the road here, the one producing iron rod, and all those companies.
But it doesn't take away from the fact that some new factories have come on stream. One was commissioned just yesterday in Ningo, Pram.
Can I elaborate on 1D1F?
I'm saying that even the new factories he's talking about, there are factories that people have already planned.
It's true. There are those.
When you use the Dodowa Road, there is a big signboard there, where Yomat used to be. Look on the signboard. It's 1D, 1F.
I agree.
Nothing is happening.
I think the idea of that is just to let you know that if you are in this district, there is a factory here. However, there have been new factories that have been commissioned.
I brought it
there was
up.
a tomato factory commissioned in
but
Bono.
you know, understanding the question.
Let me also correct something I
Okay,
said.
hold on. Let him finish that.
He
Sorry.
says that the only factory we had was Commander Sugar Factory.
Yeah.
Is that not it? But that's not true. Before then, you had rebooted some of the
He didn't understand what I
factories,
said.
including the Kumasi Shoe Factory and other factories. So the evidence out there is not.
Okay, so final point.
Okay.
As for 1D, 1F,
1D, 1F.
I'll have to do a separate show.
You do it, but let me summarize it. What I said
summarize
was that
in
it is
2
private
minutes.
sector driven. What you are saying that Kojo Oppong-Nkrumah had to come and explain.
It's true.
Yes, maybe people were misconstrued, so the Minister of Information had to come and actually straighten things up. But in the run-up to elections, I was communicating for the party, and I opened page 22, 23, and we educated people. It is the mischief that they're doing. So
What do you
fine.
mean mischief
The
about
next thing that I want to talk about, 1D, 1F, there are brown areas and green areas. The brown areas are existing factories where Ghana Rubber Estate got 24 million because it came under that program. There are other existing please. You mentioned Casaproco and all that.
Companies and other
where we are.
So what you are saying is any factory that was pre-existing. Just a quick one. Any factory that was pre-existing that came under the program got some additional funding.
Yeah, even I was using here as an example. If the government comes out and say under the Ministry of Communication, whatever, we want the media space to expand, and that there's this import duties and all that, you get rebates on certain things. I believe that your management will go for it so that you can expand and employ a lot more people. That is being applied. That exists in the brown areas came under the 1D one, and there are green areas that you mentioned yesterday. What happened yesterday? So if I say that we fought about one factory, Commander Sugar Factory, I'll still reiterate on that. Yes, there were existing factories, but then the one that you set up, when you are setting up a factory, there's something called corporate strategy and all that. You must ensure that you set it closer to the raw material. But when you did that, there was no raw material, so it went defunct. Now this government is coming and is looking at doing it, and that has been applied in so many places. So I'm saying that industrialization is the way to go. We want our economy to actually strengthen, but let's look at it 5 years, 10 years down the line. That's where we actually get to a point that we actually impose a lot more import duties on imported goods, and then actually ensure that we export and all that, so that our balance of trade is good. That is the tangent to go.
Okay, I have to stop you there. Yes, yes.
Yeah, but you see,
and this is your final point, so that we can wrap up. And then we can have the third force on for the next segment.
So I think you should give us available natural resources.
Charles talks as though they are reinventing the wheel. It's not. All these things that he's talking about, every government that had that framework, they chose to brand it. Okay, they chose to brand it one district, one factory, one this and that, because the expectations in it that we know that we all want to move from
the more you talk, you open gaps for me. It's just it's like a Ghana card.
And President Mahama or President, you read the State of the Nation's address. The philosophy of the government was always to move into industrialization, because we all know. But I'm saying that if you come and name yours in a certain way, live up to the expectation. And you see, it is because of these things that you go and get neutrality allowance and go and name something neutral. It becomes a problem. Because you see, every naming becomes propaganda. But having said that, I am saying that the evidence out there, Jifa, is that the NPP has not proven themselves to be good managers.
We agree
of the economy,
that
I have no hope
we agree
that in the next 2 years they will be able to turn this economy around.
We agree that
they are down there, right? And they may be breathing. They are not dead yet, but they are not strong enough to get up. And that is the way to go. Ghanaians are looking forward to the NDC.
We'll wake up.
You wake up.
Ghanaians are looking forward to the NDC, and everything points to the fact that the NDC will come to power, God willing, 2025.
No, wake up from our slumber, because if they come back and rule this country, then the economy is doomed. So wake up from our slumber.
Well, let's see what CPP has to say. Nanaya Jantua is coming up next. We'll be talking to her about recent decisions taken by the CPP to streamline what has been 2 years of petitions, court cases, all in an attempt to get the leadership on track. All that after this break. Thanks to Charles Bissiou. Thanks to George Lowe for coming in. Enjoy your Saturday.
Thank you.